everybody, welcome to Rockin Readers. I am here with a new book for this week. Today's book is from the series Pet Friends Forever by Diana G. Gallagher. And this installment in the series is called The Pet Store Pet Show. So we are going to be reading chapters 1 through 4 today, and then come back on Thursday where we'll read chapters 5 through 8. I hope you enjoy. Oh, my dog almost knocked over my camera. Jeez. Okay, so this is chapter 1. There's a cool little picture there. We're going to meet our main characters. Chapter 1. I think I have just enough money to buy Rex a new toy and some treats, Kyle said, as he and Mia walked to the local pet store Friday afternoon. He'll be so excited. Sometimes dog toys were cheaper at the big chain store, but it didn't matter. He and Mia always went to Mr. J's Pet Haven. Mia suddenly came to a stop in front of the pet store and pointed in the window. The gerbils are gone, she exclaimed. Where did they go? That's weird, Kyle said. So is the turtle pool. Mr. J's window display was usually full of animal cages, pet toys, treats, and weekly specials. But today, the window was almost empty. Mia shot Kyle a worried look, and together they turned and hurried inside. Mr. J wasn't behind the counter like usual. Mr. J, Kyle called as the door closed behind him. What's going on? I didn't do it, Jethro, Mr. J's pet parrot, squawked from his perch near the front register. Where are you? Mia called. In the wonderful world of water creatures, Mr. J shouted from the back of the store. Kyle and Mia walked back to the tropical fish department. The turtle pool was on the floor and a dozen little turtles perched on rocks in the sink, but Mr. J was nowhere to be seen. Hello, Kyle called, looking around the empty store. I'm right here, Mr. J said as he walked out of the storage room. Why'd you take the turtles out of the window? Mia asked. I have to clean the pool, Mr. J explained. It was so slimy they kept slipping off the rocks. Kyle and Mia laughed. I clean everything and put fresh straw in the window once a month, Mr. J said. I'm usually done before the store opens, but I got a late start today. Can we help you with anything? Kyle asked. Yes, Mr. J said. He laughed and rubbed his back. Buy something. Then I'll have a good excuse to take a break. Okay, Mia said brightly. I need some cat treats for Misty. Kyle followed Mia and Mr. J to the cat aisle. After Mia found Misty's favorite brand of treats, they headed over to the dog toy aisle. Kyle picked out a chew toy for Rex. On the way to the front of the store, he grabbed a box of dog treats, and they brought everything to the front counter. Mr. J started ringing up Kyle's purchases first. That'll be $12, Mr. J told him. Kyle frowned. But the last time I bought this stuff for Rex, it was only $10, he said. My costs went up, so I had to raise my prices, Mr. J explained. Kyle shook his head. I don't have enough money, he said sadly. I only brought $10. He reached up and grabbed the dog treats to go put them back. Mr. J stopped him. That's okay, Kyle. Today I'll sell you the treats and the toy for $10, plus a favor. Deal? Deal, Kyle said with a big grin. What's the favor? I want Misty and Rex to enter the first annual Pet Haven Pet Show next Saturday, Mr. J said. There will be all sorts of categories like best trick and most well-behaved pet. And there's a picture of them in the pet store. A pet show, Mia exclaimed. What a great idea! Can you guys believe that I have a pet that just walked in here? Artie, come here. Oh, I was going to let him say hello, but he walked away. So if he comes back, we'll say hi. I'm glad you think so, Mr. J said with a laugh. It's a special thank you for my loyal customers. I'm hoping it'll help bring some new customers into the store too. So tell all your friends. Is it just for people with cats and dogs? Mia asked. Mr. J shook his head. Nope, it can be any type of pet, he told them. I want to get as many people and pets to enter as possible. Otherwise, the first pet show might also be the last. Kyle frowned. Why would the first pet show be the last one, he asked. Mr. J sighed unhappily. I'm losing more and more business to the big pet store in town, he explained, shaking his head sadly. They can sell everything a lot cheaper than I can. I know, Kyle said, but we shop here anyway. And I really appreciate that, Mr. J said with a smile. Most of my customers stick with me, but every time I have to raise prices, I lose someone. I'm worried I won't have any customers left soon. I don't know how long Pet Haven can survive. Maybe the pet show will bring people back, Mia said hopefully. If you had more customers, you'd be okay, right? That's what I'm hoping, Mr. J agreed. If not, at least it'll be a fun way to say goodbye to my loyal friends. Fun, yes, Kyle thought, but definitely not goodbye. Chapter 2, and bad news. When Kyle and Mia got home, they took Rex outside to play in Kyle's backyard. The yellow lab went crazy with excitement when he saw his new chew toy. Come get it, boy, Kyle called, dangling the toy in the air. Rex raced over and grabbed it in his teeth. He and Kyle played tug-of-war for a few minutes before Kyle finally let go. Rex immediately ran off with his prize. Whoops. At least you can still get Rex's toys at the big pet store, Mia said. They don't sell cat treats there, at least not the ones Misty likes. She's really picky. Kyle could believe that. Misty didn't seem to like anything or anyone other than Mia. When did you go there, he asked. Last week with Lacey and her brother, Mia explained. Tommy had to get food for his snake. That was okay with Kyle. He'd been to the big store with his mom before. Sometimes she had to buy veterinary supplies that Mr. J didn't sell, and Tommy's ball python ate frozen mice. Mr. J only sold live mice to people who wanted tiny pets. If Pet Haven closes, Misty won't get her favorite treats ever again, Mia said. Pet Haven's not going to close, Kyle said firmly. It might, Mia insisted. You heard Mr. J. Kyle's mom suddenly appeared in the back doorway. She'd changed into her regular clothes, but Kyle knew she'd probably just come from her clinic next door. Why would Mr. J close Pet Haven, she asked. It's not for sure, Kyle said. He and Mia explained about the upcoming pet show and what Mr. J had said about losing business. But if it doesn't work, he might still have to close, Kyle said. We can't let that happen, Mia said. We have to do something. It sounds like Mr. J is doing something, Dr. Blake said. He's having the pet show to bring in new business, and it's open to all types of animals. That should help. I bet Mr. and Mrs. Cooper would love to show off Porcupine. Kyle grinned. He was a big fan of Porcupine, a black and white pot-bellied pig his mom helped treat. Whenever someone talked to him, Porcupine grunted like he was having a real conversation. Will you tell the Coopers about the pet show, Mia asked Dr. Blake? And let us put a flyer in the clinic, Kyle asked. And there is a picture. Dr. Blake nodded. Yes to both ideas, she said. We should hang flyers around town, Mia said. You could put an ad in the newspaper too, Dr. Blake suggested, or on the paper's website. That's a great idea, Mia exclaimed. Mr. J needs a big crowd. Kyle crossed his fingers. Getting lots of people to come to the pet show was the best thing he and Mia could do to help Mr. J. Everyone was sure to be impressed when they saw how Mr. J greeted all his customers and their pets by name. Maybe they'll tell their friends about how friendly he is and what good advice he gives, Kyle thought. Then the new people would see the one thing they couldn't get at the big store, Mr. J's personal touch. Come on, Mia, Kyle said. He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the house. We've got work to do. Chapter 3, the parking lot plan. Kyle, Mia, and Dr. Blake went to see Mr. J the next afternoon. Get out! Get out! Jethro scolded Kyle and Mia when they entered the store. He let out a whistle when he saw Kyle's mom. Jethro is just as happy to see you as I am, Dr. Blake, Mr. J said as he shook Dr. Blake's hand. What can I do for you folks today? We just need a minute of your time, Dr. Blake said. The kids told me about the pet show and I'd like to help. Fantastic, Mr. J exclaimed. One of my weekend workers can help with the store, but I'll need extra hands at the pet show. Where are you going to hold the pet show, Dr. Blake asked. I was thinking of using the parking lot out back, Mr. J said. Even if only a few people show up, I'm worried the store won't be big enough. The parking lot is kind of scary, Kyle said. And it's really dirty back there, Mia added, making a face. I park there all the time, said Mr. J. It's not that bad. Actually, maybe you do have a point, said Mr. J. Let's go take a look at it. The group walked through the store and out the back door to go check out the parking lot. Outside, weeds grew through cracks in the pavement. Tall trees with overhanging branches surrounded the lot, and the leaves blocked the sun. Kyle's mom wrinkled her nose as she looked around. It is a little gloomy, isn't it? She agreed. There's so much shade, Mia said, and barely any sun at all. Actually, I think there's just enough shade, said Mr. J. Black pavement gets really hot in the sun. The shade will help keep it cool for the animals' feet. An excellent point, Dr. Blake agreed. I'll be here in case there's an emergency, and I don't want to treat burned puppy paws. We'll set up a vet tent, Mr. Vet tent. Mr. J exclaimed, clapping his hands together. I'll have to print up some new flyers that say vet on site so people know. Print 100, Mia said. Kyle and I will hang them all over town. 100, Mr. J repeated, looking surprised. How many people do you think will come? More than a few, Kyle's mom joked. I hope I have enough ribbons for everyone, Mr. J said. What kind of ribbons? Kyle asked. I was going to hand out first place trophies for the best pet in each category, Mr. J explained, and ribbons to everyone else who participates. A trophy and a ribbon would look great on my bookcase, Kyle thought. Rex and I have to start practicing. I don't know if I can afford to buy 100 ribbons, though, Mr. J said. I was hoping the pet show would help the store make money, not spend it. That's a good point. What if you sold food and drinks at the show, Kyle suggested. That would make money, and maybe some of the other stores on the block would be willing to help, too. That's a great idea, Kyle, his mom said. I bet some of the restaurants would donate food. After all, more customers at the pet store will mean better business for the other stores nearby, too. You'll have lots of money for ribbons, Mia said. Oh, before I forget, Dr. Blake said, I was thinking we could invite the mayor, the principal of Bear Valley Elementary, and the chief animal control officer to be judges at the pet show. I bet they'd be happy to help. That's a great idea, Mr. J said happily. Let's ask them. If they say yes, we'll have to put that on the flyer too. Don't worry about a thing, Mr. J, Mia said. The first annual Pet Haven Pet Show is going to be huge. Chapter 4, Pet Show Prep. Kyle and Mia spent Sunday evening making flyers for the Pet Haven Pet Show. They made sure to include all the information about the prizes, the judges, and the vet tent. Then they handed the flyers out to their friends during lunch on Monday. This looks really cool, Billy Evans said as he read the flyer. Can I bring Pete? Lacey Ortega laughed. Of course you can't bring Pete. He's a toad. Actually, you can bring Pete, Kyle told them. He's a pet, and all pets are welcome at the Pet Haven Pet Show. But the weird ones have to be caged, Mia added. Billy scolded at Mia. Pete isn't weird, he said, and he doesn't have a cage either. He just rides in my pocket. Kyle frowned. Billy really didn't like it when people insulted his toad, and calling him weird wasn't exactly nice. Pete might win a blue ribbon for riding in your pocket, he said, trying to distract Billy. Billy perked up. There's a prize for pets that ride, he asked. There might be, Kyle said. I don't think Mr. J has picked all the categories yet, so who knows? My brother's snake, the great Gorgon, rides around his neck, Lacey said. Mia shuddered. She wasn't a fan of snakes. He could be in the contest, as long as Tommy's snake stays on his neck and not mine, she exclaimed. Does anyone want to hang flyers? Kyle asked, or help clean the store before the pet show? Several hands immediately shot in the air. Great, Mia said. Mr. J will love having so much help. Let's meet at the pet store after school, Kyle said. We can see what he needs us to do. Kyle, Mia, and their friends all met at Mr. J's Pet Haven that afternoon. There was a lot to be done. The pet show was less than a week away. Eva, Logan, Connor, and Ryan didn't have pets, but they took Mr. J's new flyers to post around town. Billy and Lacey stayed to clean up the store with Kyle and Mia. Mr. J handed out rags and spray bottles of water to the kids. I'll work on cleaning out the tanks and cages, he told them. You kids dust and organize the shelves. Kyle teamed up with Mia and Billy worked with Lacey. They started at opposite ends of the shelves in the aquarium supply section. Kyle and Mia stacked packages of plastic plants in the aisle and started wiping off the display rack. They'd only been working for a few minutes when Lacey suddenly let out a loud scream. Mr. J came running over right away. What happened? He asked. Something bit me, Lacey hollered. Something gross and slimy. Kyle stood on his tiptoes and saw a big black glob of something stuck to the back of the shelf. I don't think it bit you, he said. It looks dead. Ooh, what do you think it's going to be? Ugh. Let's see. Ew, Lacey exclaimed, trying not to gag. I touched it. It's just a fresh fruit treat, Mr. J said. They're good for turtles and birds. He used a paper towel to pull the glob out. How do you think it got back there? Kyle asked. Mr. J shrugged. Who knows, he said. I'm just glad we found it before a customer did. Especially a new customer, Mia added. Kyle, Mia, Billy, and Lacey worked hard for the rest of the afternoon. They didn't find any more rotten treats, but by the time they were done, they were exhausted. Thanks for all your hard work this afternoon, Mr. J said. The store hasn't looked this good since I opened it 30 years ago. Kyle glanced around. Mr. J was right. The Pet Haven did look great. The shelves were all stocked with new supplies. Metal gleamed and glass shined. Everything smelled fresh and clean. Now go home and rest, Mr. J said. You worked hard today. Go away, Jethro called as Kyle and his friends headed for the door. Pizza! I'm really going to miss that bird, Billy said. Everyone will miss Jethro if Mr. J goes out of business, Kyle thought. But that wouldn't happen if the Pet Haven Pet Show was a success, and that depended on how many people showed up. And that is the end of chapter 4. Come back and join me on Thursday when we pick up on chapter 5 to see if the pet show is a success. Have a great day, guys. Bye.